Conversations with Kelly. Tonight, joining on my panel tonight, I have, and actually, let me just go here. We are filming live in the Motor City, which is Detroit, Michigan, which is actually my home state. That's where my birth state. And actually, my cousin Kimberly Green has welcomed us into her home tonight. And her good friend Sean Withall. Tonight's topic will be dealing with assumptions, being critical and judgmental. Those are really good topic conversation pieces. Because oftentimes I know that I have been guilty of assuming things before actually having all the information. Basically, I can actually look at somebody and be like, I don't like her. You ever been there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. In what ways has happened to you?
Just walking down the street, seeing people, and I automatically assume, or I may get like a vibe or something from them. And it could be negative or it could be positive.
Okay.
And from that, I would make a determination in what I would do. And it could be, if I see a group of young men walking down the street and they got the baggy pants on and the hat, and I may cross the street. I'll be perfectly honest.
Well, there's been times where I've actually judged. I'm like that with women. What did I do? Okay. With women, I have actually made an assumption, like, to look at a person and be like, you know what, me and her wouldn't hit, there's something about her, me and her wouldn't hit it off. And, let me go here, has there been times where you've been wrong?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What about you, Sean?
Definitely. Actually, Kim and I are really good friends, but my first impression and assumption about her was nothing of the magnitude of the type of person she was. And I think maybe it was the way she was carrying herself and how she kind of operated. She was to herself, and we being the people that we are, I just assumed that she was a little high strong and
bougie. Bougie.
So you thought so your perception of what you assumed about Kim was because what Kim is very reserved. Now Kim is a watcher. She'll watch you first. She's not going to befriend you real easily from what I have experienced with Kim. So because of her standoffishness, you just assumed that she was bougie. And what else was the other word?
Just a little, what is it that I want to say? I want to say arrogant. It wasn't arrogant, but yeah, just bougie. Bougie. But as we mature and we get older, we tend to learn that when people have themselves together, or they know what they want, or that they're going in a direction that they strive to, we judge it as a person is bougie, or they think they're better than the next person, as opposed to stopping and giving credit. Hey, this girl got her head together. She's on track. And I admire that. It's not until later when you really get to know them that you give them that credit that that they're due. So,
how was you able to move past those assumptions of Kim?
Well, I'm a people person, so although I made that assumption, I'm the kind of person I may assume something, but I give everybody a fair chance. So I'm the kind of person that I get a lot of people tell me that, oh, you're too nice. You always say that give people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
That's the way that I was raised. My grandfather always told me never knock another person's thing. Give them a chance and look for the good in everybody. So
now, from what you just told me, and I just met you probably about 15 minutes ago coming in the door, what you told me and how you said you portrayed yourself, that's not what I picked up.
Really?
I picked up that, not necessarily that you're saying that even though you might get that vibe from someone else, it wouldn't stop you from continuing to be friendly, anything like that. Now, see, I would have flipped it another way. I would have thought that you could get with somebody real quick. That's not Sean?
If I'm pushed there, right. If I'm pushed there, but on a normal basis, I love people. So until you give me a reason
not to,
then I love you. You all right with me. You're fine. regardless, even if I've heard the worst about you, I don't know, I just look for because I just believe everybody has something good else. So
that's so wonderful.
that's just me. And sometimes you get burned for it, but it's worth it.
Now, see, when you say burn for it, Kim, I don't know, you might be with me with that. Sometimes with that, when I get burned, I tend to, I'm standoffish. And that may come across as being stuck up or she don't like to fool with people. But sometimes when you've been hurt so many times, you put up it's kind of almost like a defense mechanism. But as we're talking about this, actually I wanted to share, coming down here, we experienced two people, and again, this is an assumption, because do we assume that everybody that's standing on the side of the freeway or at a traffic light with the signs up, what is the first thing we assume? Homeless, a bum, drug addict, things like that. Well, we had pulled up next to someone, and their sign read, if I'm not mistaken, it read, I'm hungry, or homeless, I'm hungry. Well, I was ready to hand them, because we had just got some chicken from Giant Eagle, because we as black folks, we'll travel with some chicken. Can we pick up chicken on the way down here? When I seen hungry, I just automatically be like, Risa, hand him the chicken out the window. And Risa was like, how you know he hungry? I'm like, well, he'll take it. She said, no, he might not take it. He might not want food. And I was like, well, just ask him. And even though the sign said hungry, hey, you want some chicken? No, I'm good. So it made me think like, well, dang, here I am thinking he hungry, and the sign said hungry, but he wasn't, or his preference wasn't food.
Correct, I'm pretty sure.
But I'm assuming that also, because could it be that somebody just gave him a chicken wing? I don't know, but see how we can build up our assumption just by a response that he gave me.
But the initial assumption, I think, should have been correct, because the sign said hungry.
Okay, I'm ready to go here. We ready to ride, cuz?
Yeah.
How many times have you gotten into a relationship and the sign said faithful?
There is.
Sign said, I ain't gonna hurt you.
Correct.
So how many times have we gotten in those places where the sign might say one thing, but their actions and their character might produce something totally different? Let her marinate on that shine road.
Yeah. But I guess I think those are two different things. Where if somebody has a sign, and to me that's explicit. I mean, the sign is hungry. When you're in a relationship now, you're talking about trusting somebody.
Okay.
That to me that's like on a different level. And it's not quite like document. I mean, he's standing there with the sign, hungry. I mean, I would assume, and call it what you want to, that he wants some food.
Okay, you ready to ride, Sean? Sean, you been married before?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have papers downtown that said, and it was documented that you was gonna be in this covenant relationship?
Yes.
Okay, me too. Is that documented? I ain't one to gossip, Sean. Does that seem that's documented, Kim? And not only did he documented it, I documented it as well. That said that I would be with him for the rest of my life.
But that doesn't mean your assumption was incorrect, because it is documented. He was wrong in what he did, but your assumption that he was going to be faithful was correct, because he told you he was. Am I correct? I mean, the assumption was still correct, wasn't it?
It couldn't have been.
So did he tell you he was going to be faithful?
Yeah, he had me let
Right. So.
Or maybe we should flip it on. I assumed he was going to be faithful because he signed that paper. Did you assume
and that paper said I was going to be faithful.
It was marriage.
Right, but the paper said I was going to be faithful.
And that paper lied to me. Amen. But again, you see how we can get things twisted up just by assuming a certain thing. And again, you shared, Sean, how you assumed that Kim was a certain way. But just think if you would have stayed with that assumption, and how you and her would be sitting here today joining Conversations with Kelly in a conversation about assumptions. So thank God you didn't stop there. And that's a lesson right there in itself, that we should not stop, because just think of all the things that could have been lost. Is she a great friend?
Absolutely.
A great friend. So just think of some of the things you might have missed out on the friendship with her, and vice versa.
You know, I think the unfortunate thing about that is, I think we have more people stop at the assumption than to pursue to see what the reality is. That's all.
And
So you said-
I'm saying that because I work with her and I hear things and I see things, you know, and it's like I'm always defending the point that you all really need to get to know her. You know, when people make that assumption, and that's where they stick. They don't even try to see if the assumption is incorrect or correct. And I think that we need to become better people and try to get past assumption, because the reality is assumption is there.
Right.
It's just a natural part of life. People are going to assume. We're going to leave here assuming things. But we got to get to a point where we get past assumption. Okay, I assume this. Well, let me be a better person and see, am my assumption correct? Is it incorrect? And then when you find out which way it is, do you fix it, or do you try to, when you make a bad assumption, do you try to fix it or just leave it as is?
Sometimes I think people, we just leave it because for whatever reason, I don't know why we would leave it, but I mean, there's been times where I just left it as that, like, well, mistake on my part, my bad. But speaking on the assumption of other people, could it be that sometimes you might not feel, let's use Kim as an example, you're in the middle. You might not be feeling Kim. And you might share, girl, I ain't feeling her, she this, that, and the other. Maybe you and her can't vibe, but that doesn't mean that me and Kim can't vibe. But how many times, especially women, we will listen to our girlfriends and be like, I ain't feeling her, she ain't my cup of tea. Oh, she ain't mine neither. I'm gonna roll with my dog. She may not be your girlfriend's cup of tea, but she may be your cup of tea, but not that, not in no, you know what I mean. Because sometimes people will take that the wrong way.
Right. I know exactly.
But there's been times I have went along with my friends. I don't like her, neither my friend don't like her. Things like that. So we have to be careful that we lose that. Does it burn you up?
Yes, it does, because I just think that is just the worst. I mean, I'm not going to not like you because Kim doesn't like you. I mean, how immature is that?
But
No,
we
I'm
do,
not
but I've been guilty of it.
And even when I was younger, because I ran into the same issue, I'm not gonna dislike somebody because my friend or whatever doesn't dislikes them. I may dislike them because of what I know they've done, or if they want to come to me and talk about my friend to me. That's disrespectful. You know this is my good friend. So yeah, then I may come up with reasons why, I do not like you.
Okay, because of how they've treated another person that you're involved with.
Correct.
That person that might be a good assumption. Well, would that be an assumption then? Assumption is passing judgment on something that you don't have a lot of information. So that wouldn't be
Right,
an assumption.
No, but what I'm saying though is I wouldn't automatically assume to dislike them. You know what I'm saying? If they came to me, and talked to me, I wouldn't have a problem. Where I would have the problem is if they, want to talk about my friend, or if they actually did something to my friend. I don't like you because of what you did to her.
Okay. Even though it wasn't done to you.
Correct. I would have a problem with that. And you do something to my sister.
Yeah.
You do something to my mom.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't have to be there.
Yeah.
It's safe to assume that you're not going to like them.
Right.
Because what they did.
Kim, God, drink some water.
I mean, it's happened to me numerous times.
So again, we can agree that we have snapped to judge without proof of all the information. I know that I have been guilty of that, and moving forward, I hope that I am working on that and getting better at that.
So Kelly, just growing up, I made a judgment on you.
I'm like Mr. Brown. I'm scared. I'm nervous, and my husband said that ain't no word. It's a conversation with Kelly. Make up her own word. I'm nervous in.
I was like, my cousin is crazy.
You know what? That has been a lot of people's assumption, and I know they wrong because I don't feel crazy.
It's like, my cousin is crazy. But
Like,
you know what?
wait a minute, crazy as in mental health crazy, or crazy like, oh girl, you crazy. There's a difference. Mental health
No,
crazy.
is there
Kim?
an in between?
Like straight jacket crazy. Like I'm supposed to be somewhere.
No, not that one.
Which one?
More of like
Risk taker, Kelly.
Unrealistic crazy.
like
Don't give a
what
crap,
is going
Kelly.
on in her life.
Oh yeah, no, that was
Like crazy things would happen to her, and I know it would just amaze me because I guess I didn't live, in your life. Like we would hear, Kelly, like you get me so many fights.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of fights.
Like
But
my
that would
sister-
make you crazy, Kim.
Well,
That would make you a fighter.
yeah, but a fighter, and then you would hear different things that happened. And I would think you were crazy, like my sister. So
Well,
I'm
y'all
just
all
saying,
know that me and I don't know if with my cousin.
Yeah,
She
my
know who I'm talking about. We used to
Yeah.
always get blamed for everything. Well, it was three of us. It was the
Yeah.
Bell,
Yeah, right.
the Bell cousin,
Right,
me,
right.
and another one. I don't want
Right.
to say their names because they ain't gave me permission. Y'all used to always be. Could it be that y'all was square?
It very well. You know what? Because it was like unreal to me. Like, how does stuff like that happen? Like
Like still in the car. Doing that's crazy. Is that crazy to you, Sean? Does that sound like, oh my God? Kelly looking like, oh my God, you did that. You gonna be on the news. You going to jail. They gonna give you an electric chair. Oh my God. That ain't crazy, Kim, and I apologize. That's assuming. I need a public apology.
I didn't even know you stole a car, so that ain't.
No, I ain't still America. I did not steal a car. I stole my mama car. That's the difference. When you keep it in the family, that's not really grand auto theft.
Mom, now you know who stole the car.
I know.
She knew. But you know what? I know we getting off to 7. I never got busted taken. Always a neighbor tell when I done brought it back. I'm not busted.
But just in general, though, I'm just saying, like, the lives you guys led was almost like some stuff on TV. To me, I guess in my world, it seemed
That was an assumption, Kim.
unreal. You're right. I mean, when I would talk to you, I just wanted to hear the stories. I just, I thought they were really incredible. And,
Like kind of like Lifetime.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But except for more, violent.
Fine. Wait a minute, Kim, you going too far. That's another
Kelly,
show.
you
We're going to
in the fight
tune in,
all the
America.
time.
We're going to have a one-on-one interview where it's going to be Conversations with Kim. But anyway, let's get back on task. Let's talk about being critical. Why are we critical? Well, first of all, I know I have been critical. I don't think of myself as an overly critical person. Where you have that overly critical person that actually loves to just pick everything apart or point out every little thing that you do wrong. Is that you?
For me, I think when you speak of critical, I think I'm more critical on myself.
Okay.
Overall.
Could that be a bad thing though? Can
I
a
don't
person
know.
be too critical on their self?
I think so. When you begin to talk to people and people begin to tell you how they see you and you listen to them and you begin to take that in and then you compare to what you've thought of yourself or how critical you've been and you'll be like, wow, she didn't think that bad and she thinks this and she thinks that. Well, I think this is the worst and I think I'm not this person. And they perceive you to be a whole different person. Yeah, and then you look at, maybe I am too critical on myself. I think we should be critical on ourselves, but where do we draw the line?
You see, I think a little bit the opposite because I'm very critical of myself. And not a little bit. I think it's my duty and my responsibility to be critical because I know my potential and I know what I should be doing. And I know when I don't do it or when I make a mistake, I'm really, really hard on myself so I won't make it the same mistake again. Now, I also think with me, I find myself critical to people in my life that I truly care about. And as I see them going down the wrong path, or I see them doing things that is not quite the right thing, and granted it's my interpretation and what I feel, I will let them know.
I'm sure you would have, because I'm sure that you probably would have sat me down. If I would have sat down long enough, you probably would have sat me down and said, Kelly, the road that you're traveling is going to end you up in prison. I don't know that I could have received that, though.
I wouldn't have told you that.
Would you have wrote me a note?
No.
No, you just let me
At
do
that
it.
time in my life, I wouldn't have told you that.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being critical. It's how you deliver it to people too
Okay.
as well. Because some people you need to be critical on. Like for me, I have 3 daughters.
Speak up just a little bit.
I'm critical on my girls, my daughters. I have 3 daughters, especially my oldest daughter, because she doesn't function to her full potential. And I feel like as a mother or a parent, it's my role to push her to that potential as much as I can, rather than, as you see some parents just give up and walk away and leave the kids out there, and then shift all the blame on it. So, I don't know, I lost my train of thought, but being critical.
So you're saying basically it's like you should have some balance in it. And I guess where I was leaning towards, there is times where it needs to be, you need to be critical. Because again, like you said, there might be times with your daughters or in a situation where a loved one might be going down the wrong direction and you might need to critique some of their behavior. Is that safe to say?
And I think I was saying that with how you deliver it, how you tell them when you're being critical. You know, some people are just so hard and I have the power, I got the authority, I'm going to say this, and they leave it like that. And so if you have this child that's like,
All they do is come down on me. Is that
right, but no explanation as to why you're being critical or what the benefits or the disadvantages and advantages of you being critical will be for you. You know, so you got to give them that with being critical as well. You know, the critical checks and balances. You got to give them both. You don't just be critical. Oh, you're not going to be anything. And leave it at that.
And then too, sometimes they need to hear it from somebody else. Because they always think, mom and dad, oh, they're on me. Oh, here come mom and dad. Here they come again. Because no matter, I don't care if you check and balance it, it's you. It's the person that's giving it to me.
Could it be? What about the way that you deliver the critique?
Yeah,
That's the way I want to use
kinda
it.
what
What
I
about
was
your delivery of it? Sometimes could we be a little where it actually will go into judgmental versus critiquing?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or when we go to that point, is it important that we provide some encouragement with it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because what I don't like to see, and I've seen it, where parents tell their kids that they're stupid. You're never going to amount to anything. How dare you?
That's not really what we call being critical. That's being
But I mean, they do
raggedy.
something. But what I'm saying is they do something, and from them doing it, there's, oh, that's stupid. You're stupid. You'll never amount to anything. You
I
know.
think that runs into that slides into abuse. Don't
Well,
you think?
absolutely, absolutely. I would definitely agree. You know, but yet,
Because let me say something with that. Go ahead. Well, finish that. Finish what you were going to say. You forgot. I'm so sorry. But I said even with that, we get upset when we use the word stupid. I mean, when we are using you're stupid and all that, but then let their spouse or someone say that about them. We as parents would be the first one to get upset. How is he calling you out of your name, or how you letting her talk to you that way? But they're letting them because you did, and they had gotten used to that. I'm sorry for cutting in on that. But again, I feel that we definitely need to, with that, we do need to provide some encouragement. Because if you're going to point out all the wrong, okay, let's say you did set me down, It was like, Kelly, you know, the route you're going, you know, you're headed for destruction, da-da-da-da-da-da, you're doing this dangerous, da-da-da. But you got so much potential. I know you have it in you. I would be able to receive that better than, oh, girl, you gonna end up in jail. You ain't, just wait. One more time. I know you're gonna do it again. Those kinds of things. I think by the time, especially when we're dealing with our children, by the time you run them down, I think they've been their ears are closed to you then, because then it's like, all mom got to say is all she talked about is all the bad. What about the good? So I know for myself, I have gotten good results when I am critiquing them, but at the same time providing encouragement.
So just a little twist to the whole thing. We talk so much about judging or even critiquing in the negative aspect, but you know, sometimes in the positive aspect, there's issues. And I know me, when I was young, everybody told me, you know, you're going to do this and you're going to do that and you're going to go here and you're going to go to college and you're going to have all this stuff. And, you know, I kind of was for it, don't get me wrong, but it put a lot of pressure on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be this good student, to be this good girl, to always do what I'm told. You know,
Was that an assumption on their part? And because that was assumption, it caused you to be probably an overachiever? Because you might have felt like if you didn't.
absolutely. And I remember
You like that, didn't you?
I remember plenty of times being stressed out, you know, when I'm taking finals or taking all these classes and doing things and just like, how am I going to do this? And, you know, really not having anybody or any place or anything to go to and help me. And, you know, just from people, you know, telling me you're going to do it and you can do it. And if I was to say, oh, no, I couldn't, I mean, they would be like, you know, tell me, yes, you can. And I don't want to hear that. And you're, you know, so sometimes it has a bit of a negative effect on you. And the pressures, I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And people don't realize the amount of pressure that's really put on you because they're judging you. That, oh, she, you know, they all oh, she'll get an A. Really?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
really? I mean, okay, I guess I will, you know, and so.
Okay, I got you. And then you really stay focused on that.
Right.
And what have you ever been expected to do one thing and you didn't hit the target? Yeah. You raise your hand like we in school.
All the time. I mean, it's all the time. I can't think of anything right now, but yeah.
I'm trying to think of something for me.
What?
I'm trying to think of something for me, really. I mean, something that was expected of me. Hey, we're talking about like from our parents or something like that.
Well, I kept missing the targets, and I'm a little bit different than you. Everything they set for me, I broke it. But I still ended up all right. I'm all right.
But you know what?
And
Your journey is your journey, and mine is mine, and Shine is hers. So
now we was raised by parents from the old school. Was our journey until we was 18?
Right, but what I'm not saying about the parents, I'm saying Kelly. Regardless of your parents and what they're telling you, your journey is your journey. From your life experiences and everything that you went through has gotten you to the point that you are today.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying.
Set your word.
So that's what I'm saying. So and it was all involved in our parents and our direction and everything. But that's your path.
Okay.
My path is different. You know, and so it shines.
So I like that, Kim, because you actually said what the assumption was that your parents or whoever in your life had for you. It kind of caused you to work really hard at achieving what you thought, at the stuff that they mapped out for you and what you felt like they had for you. And have you ever felt like screaming inside, what about me? What about what I want?
Yes.
Because there may be somebody out there watching where the assumption is you're gonna go to college, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and they might have anxiety inside of them talking about I don't want to do that, or maybe I'm not capable of doing that. what would you say to our viewers that are struggling in that area? If you had it all over to do again, would you do something would you do a little different?
No.
Believe it or not,
You
no.
wouldn't?
I wouldn't.
I think that.
Or is it because you don't know no other way now? Because you've been doing it so long?
I think I would try to tell them to have a different mind perspective behind it. Yes, this is what people think or what they expect, but you know your limitations. You have to learn to do what's best for you. So if they expect you to get an A, and you know that, hey, I'm just not going to get an A, I'm going to get a B, you need to know that you're okay with that. And regardless of how critical that you didn't get an A in that, you didn't get an A, I just expected you to get an A. And you have to make peace within and just tell them it's okay, I got to be this time.
Me, it wouldn't have suit.
So you know, it's ironic that you say that because I remember in high school, I got my first C and I cried for days. It was such a huge impact on my life. I mean, I was in tears.
Girl, a C for me was a thank you, Jesus, shazam, I got it. Yes.
But to me, it was huge.
So if you could go back to those days and really be honest with yourself, the question would be, were you upset that you got the C because Kim got this C because Kim didn't do what her potential was, or were you upset because you got this C and you was concerned about what all the other people outside was going to view, or what their
The
opinion?
first one.
What was the first one?
That I was upset because I didn't fulfill my potential. Because personally, I'm, and this is just me, just because of how I feel and a lot of what has been ingrained in me, I feel I can do anything I set my mind to do.
I mean, and I believe that we should really believe
Right.
that because you can.
Right.
You can do anything that you
Right.
want to do.
Right.
You just got to be willing to put the
Gotta want to,
fight
right.
to do it. But I guess what I was saying, you know, a lot of times, I mean, I sit and I watch my daughters in school, and I got one daughter that's, some of us, we learn and we gather knowledge.
We
And
absorb.
then some
Very
people are just naturally smart.
Right?
And she's kind of at that level. My middle girl, it's just natural. Learning is natural to her. You give her something, she absorbs it and remembers it. And her dad kind of, to me, sometimes is a little too hard, to the point where she overthinks because she's worried about, if I don't get it right to his satisfaction, then my world is going to crumble, you know.
Okay.
And so I guess I'm saying you have to, when I said be careful in when you're doing things and setting your goals, let them be your goals, and if you don't quite hit it, it's okay.
Right.
You know, at least you attempted and you tried. You know, don't let the world dictate how things should be for you.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about, do you think that if we come, because there's, okay, I know right now we have the, and I don't want to get into full details because there's the Trayvon Martin case. Just from small information, we, as a community, you know where I'm going with that, we have actually made up our minds, right or wrong. And without going into details with that, because I don't have a pin. I'm still working out the details in my mind about that situation. But I'm saying all this to say this: there's been times where if someone has had an assumption, an incorrect assumption publicly, if someone has made an assumption about someone publicly and it has hurt them, or even if it hasn't hurt them, or it doesn't seem like it has hurt them, whoever made a public assumption, if it was incorrect, do you feel that they should make a public apology?
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you feel like that's done? Because there's too many times where we have convicted people without them even going to trial. And actually, one of which I just kind of wonder, because I know that, and I don't really want to call any names, but let's say the incident in Florida where the girl was accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter. And remember, it was a long process of trial, and she was found this summer. She was acquitted for the charges that they charged her with. Actually, if I just listening to the media of it before even getting the trial, oh, guilty. And is that a fair assumption without having all the information? And we as a public, don't we assume things just from we like to take bits and pieces of information and compile it together and be like, it is what it is, and let's send them to the electric chair. Are we so quick to judge things without fully having all the information? And is that fair? And the flip side of that, I wonder if that was me. And I wonder if sometimes if we think about, if that was me, would I want people to rush to judge me just from some of the information that is being said out there?
Well, I think one of the problems is with the media, they print what they want to print.
Exactly.
Really, unless you've had a conversation with the people and actually talked to them, you really don't know what's going on. Because one day you hear one story, then you hear something else. They're investigating. You don't have any of the documentation. I mean, stuff is all over the place. So really, all we have is what the media gives us.
Right.
And I mean, that's it. You don't have anything else. You don't get the opportunity to, like, Sean, let's have a conversation about it. What happened?
Right.
Talk to the other person. See, you're not given that opportunity.
So are we convicted before trial?
In some cases, absolutely.
And that's not a race thing. That's a
Right,
across the
absolutely,
board thing. Are we guilty before we actually step foot in a courtroom?
Absolutely. Some people are. Yes.
Or are we, in a case of rape or something, are we the hoe or the loose person before we got into court?
Absolutely. In certain cases, absolutely.
Was it our fault before we got into
Right.
court?
What was she wearing?
Those are the assumptions, because just because you wear a short skirt and some stilettos, does that really make you a hoe? But I've judged. Have you? Oh, she nasty, and she could be a Harvard student for all we know, and things like that. So we have to be careful. And again, I try to look at myself as in, if that was me, how would I view this? Would I let?
Can be nasty too.
Well, yeah, they can. Well, I don't. You know what? That's an assumption of mine. I don't know, because I ain't never met one. I don't know.
So this is one of the areas where I try not to be judgmental on people. I don't even watch television, media, all of that. If I don't have to, occasionally I watch it, but because there's just so much stuff out there, and I'm one of those. How am I? You mentioned the Trayvon Martin. So, and this is all probably in the whole country, so everybody's probably gonna hate me, but we really weren't there.
We wasn't. And see,
And
and I
do
think
we really know what this young? Maybe he was acting out of character. We
don't know. And Sean, I'm gonna ride with you, because
So-
again, and I'm gonna go here with the black community. We tend to stick together. And is it because? And I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong. I'm just saying we don't have everything to convict.
Yeah.
And could it, because at first, I ain't gonna lie to you, at first, I thought it was a black and white crime. And I was quick to say, oh, that's racial. Until I found out, okay, we was all thinking he was white. Well, I ain't gonna say we all. There was a lot of us thinking that this dude was white. He's not, he's Hispanic. But see how quick we was to rush to judge as if it was a white and black thing. If it had been a brother with this case, would we have thought the same thing? And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right or he's wrong. I don't know what to think yet. But again, I'm going to treat it as if it was my family member on both sides, and show mercy on both sides, because we don't really know what happened. The only people that really know what happened is God and the people that was involved. That's it. So again, I think within our community, we tend to want to stick together without having all the facts I don't know. Are we assuming because of what the spurts that we've heard in the media? Again, and I want justice. I really do. I don't have all the facts, so I don't have an opinion one way or the other.
I think that we as people need to learn to being judgmental is a downfall. It's a weakness of people. And I need to bring religion into this
No, you
at this
do.
point. For me, what I tend to do when things, because the Trayvon,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I just feel like it's almost above people. Sometimes you have to just give stuff to
To
God,
God.
because God knows what happened out there.
He does.
And no greater person than to work it out but Him.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever is supposed to be guilty or however it's supposed to come down, what we should do is band together and put prayer on that.
That's what I'm talking
on
about,
that-
prayer. And not only just on that case, Sean,
Oh,
on
yeah.
all. What
Sit
about
back
the
and
other black
watch
the black boys that are
Almighty
killing
do
each
His
other?
work,
Right.
do His work.
It's not
That's
just-
what we
There's
need
plenty
to
of
do.
Trayvon Martins out
That's
here.
right.
There's
We
plenty
are
of them that.
so quick to be judgmental about just life in general.
Right.
And you can't. If you can get past that, and I get to the point, where so many things are just happening. When it gets too big or it causes me to think about it too long, oh no.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to get this to God.
That's right.
You judge it, because that's your job, God.
Mhm.
You said that's your role and you can do it.
Right.
I'll let you judge it, because you can judge it better than anybody.
Thank you, because the truth will
we-
come out with him. Definitely, the truth will come out with him. And about that judgmental pieces, we have to be careful, because a lot of times we can, okay, let's say dude is guilty. Let's say it's absolutely what it is. And we don't extend that mercy. And that's the part that some don't want to grasp. They want to put him behind bars or an electric chair and be done with it. I mean, I'm just saying that's not everybody's opinion, but sometimes we just want to throw a person away. Let's say he's guilty. There's still mercy. There's still mercy. I'm not saying let him off the hook and do all that. There's still that mercy, because the same mercy that we need to extend to him, there's mercy that we need. I may not have done some of the things that you might have done, but I still need mercy. And when the Lord sees sin, He sees it across the board. But mankind tries to pick and choose. Okay,
Yes.
well, my sin is a little bit better than yours. Last time I checked, sin is sin. There ain't no big hell, little hell, or what do you do when you get them nice rooms? There ain't no hell suite and things like that.
Penthouse suite.
So it's not about yours is better than mine. And again, that judgmental, we have a thing where, okay, whatever happened, that was his. What's yours? What's yours? Some of the stuff that we've done, thank you, Jesus, we didn't get caught. But we need that same mercy extended to everybody. Everybody needs mercy. So really, I'm praying for both sides. It's not a black power, I'm black power. I mean, I'm proud of my race, but it's not about that. It's about love and mercy.
And you bring it back to what you were talking about, that if you do judge somebody publicly and you find out you're incorrect, should you apologize
Right.
publicly? Because I know Al Sharpton is really behind all this, and if he finds out that, really this man acted, accordingly, according to the law, or, he was justified in it, are you going to apologize?
That's a good question.
For all of the things that, you went out there, you've done and said, and I'm not saying that, the man, what he did was right or wrong, but I'm just saying, for all the people that put all the hate, correct, are you going to go back
And publicly apologize? Or some of these media places, when you have basically ruined someone's life and it ends up that they're not guilty, but even if a non-guilty verdict comes, we still got them as guilty and your life is ruined. But again, will you, if you're going to publicly humiliate someone, if you're going to publicly run somebody's name in the dirt, will you publicly come back and apologize? Or do we just be like, oh, my bad? And people's lives are ruined behind
There
it.
are some things that when you judge and you make things public that can't be taken back. And we all know, like, when you're accused of rape, even if you get acquitted, everybody gonna look at you like
That's
my
one of them.
kids ain't gonna be near you. I mean, you know, I don't care even if it wasn't even justified, or you know, it really didn't happen, and you know, it was the wrong person, or you know, you are still, everybody's still looking at you when they come to your house or you come over. They grab their kids.
Right.
You know, some things stick with you no matter what.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Which now leads us to our devotional tonight, which is coming from Luke 18, verses 9 through 14. And here we have Jesus speaking. And he, who is Jesus, spake this parable unto certain ones which trusted in themselves that were righteous, and who thought they were righteous, and despised others. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee, and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And then the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. The title of my devotional tonight is, You Ain't All That in a Bag of Chips. I know you've heard that. You ain't all that in a bag of chips, or I'm all that in a bag of chips. And that's a lot of times what we think. We think we all that in a bag of chips, like our boo-boo don't stink. And we're so quick to look down on someone else because maybe our sins or our vices ain't as bad as the next person's.
But just, sin is a sin.
A sin is a sin. And like in verse 9, Jesus is speaking to those who were self-righteous. And actually, he was talking about they went into the temple. So when I hear they went into the temple, that reminds me of they, as in we as the church. We come into the church, and sometimes, and I have been guilty of this, after I done got myself together, and people that come in that are still struggling, you kind of tend to be like thinking maybe you're a little bit better off than them, and you can kind of get into that self-righteous mode. And you might think, okay, well, they still fornicating, or they still doing this and that. But I'm gossiping. But I'm thinking I'm all that because I'm no longer operating in some of the sins that they still dealing with. And again, that's what we see here in this passage of scripture. We see the Pharisee talking about all that he is. Oh, Lord, I'm not like, that would be like me saying, oh, Lord, I'm not like him. You know, she's still being critical. Or I'm not like Sean and things that Sean is doing. And Lord, look, I fast and I pray, I read my Bible, I say hallelujah all at the right time. But I got a nasty heart. You know, I don't treat people well on the job. I can do church very well. But when I go out into public, I'm nasty. I'm leaving church and I go into churches and I'm getting rowdy with the people behind the counter because they ain't got chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? So we have to watch things like that. And oftentimes we get into those places. And it's not just people in the world. I mean, that's expected in the world. But when we're coming into the church, we need to be a little bit better with ourselves. Your sin, like we said again, sin is sin. There ain't no little hell or no big hell, and there's no sweet up in hell, and you got this room and that room. Hell is hell, and that's a place I ain't trying to be. So quit thinking that you're better than anyone if you're not the bomb diggity. So then in verse 10, it talks about the 2 went into the temple to pray. And again, we are sisters and brothers in Christ. We should be lifting each other up, encouraging. If your sister is struggling with fornication, mentor her. Show her how you did it. We so busy talking about, And then don't let them be on some type of auxiliary. Oh, how she get to do that? She's still doing so-and-so and so-and-so. Mentor them. Love them through it. Don't just get somewhere and get in a clique and be like, look at them. Look at you. Nasty. So again, we are sisters and brothers in Christ. We should be building each other up, not tearing each other down. Amen? Y'all ride with me?
Right.
Verse 11 and 12, the Pharisee stated that he was all these wonderful things. Remember, he had a long list. And I could just picture him up on that on that high place just talking about himself. But I know we got some people that come to mind when you think of that, some of which was me. I was one of them Pharisees one time. But the Pharisee stated that he was all these wonderful things, compared himself to other people. And again, the point I want to make is don't compare yourself to others by pointing out their flaws. And sometimes I think we point out other flaws so we don't see our own self, our own flaws, to kind of take the focus off our own flaws. And then we see the tax collector. His posture was, he didn't go up all up in the front. He stood back. And he didn't even raise his, eyes to heaven. He basically, they said it beat his breast, but he beat his chest. And he just was asking God for mercy, admitting that he was a sinner. He was a sinner. And again, we are all in need of mercy. Again, he admitted who he was. Okay, people ain't going to always be where they're on the level that we feel that they should be on. But that gives us no right to not to extend them mercy. And again, everyone may not be in the same level spiritually, educationally, economically, but we are all God's creation, and we are all in need of God's mercy. And then verse 14, the tax collector was deemed justified. Jesus said that this man's prayer, because of the way he humbled himself, he was justified. Didn't say the Pharisee was. He said he was justified. So don't get it twisted. Just because you do church well and you get some things right, when you are pushing down your fellow man or talking down to someone, the way Jesus see it is the person that is actually in the situation and has humbled themselves and come to Christ and share it with Christ. Lord, have mercy on me. He was deemed justified. So again, it's only in our humility that we are justified by God. Only in humility. Only in our humility. Again, what a wonderful conversation. We started some waters that hopefully we won't get any backlash, because again, it was from our heart and it's just an opinion. Again, everybody has a right to their own opinion, and again, as a community of a body of believers, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, we need to extend mercy. And if you have been one that has publicly or privately assumed something or passed judgment on someone, extend that olive branch. Make peace with that situation, because again, you treat others as you want to be treated. And again, with the Trayvon Martin case and the George Zimmer and all them, in either one of those individuals could have been us or a family member. And ask yourself, how would you feel if you was in that situation? And sometimes closing your mouth is the best way to go about this, especially when you don't have all the information. Again, thank you, Kimberly and Sean, for joining me, and thank you for this great city. And I know that can get me in trouble because I'm from the Buckeye land, but this is my birthplace, and Michigan still holds a special place in my heart. And again, thank you for the conversation. It was wonderful. Wasn't it wonderful? And I would have to say that Michigan got some great, nice hospitality, very nice hospitality. And again, I would like to thank our sponsors tonight. I'd like to thank the Liberty Hill Baptist Church family. And actually, I would like to thank Overflow Ministry. And I'm going to give a shout out to Kimberly Green for opening up her home for Conversations with Kelly to come in. And I would like to thank the best crew all in the United States of America and abroad, the KWK crew. That is. And unfortunately, two of our crew members couldn't make the trip, but I would like to give a personal shout out to E. Curry for holding us down in the CO. And I'd like to give another shout out to Elizabeth Carter Moses, holding us down in Connecticut this weekend. And a great big shout out and a mwah to our viewers. Thank you and good night.